My name is Paul Young. I'm Head of Science at JBA Risk Management. That's a climate risk modelling company based out of Skipton. Climate change can create hazards and uncertainties for business in lots of different ways. So if we just think about climate change itself first, climate change, it is real. The world is getting warmer in terms of rainfall. That means the atmosphere, a warmer atmosphere holds more water vapour, which means heavier rain. But then we think about uncertainties of that, what we don't know. So we don't know where in 2050 the big storm is going to hit your business or the thing that your business depends on. We don't know what magnitude it's going to be, how intense that hazard is going to be, how intense the flood is going to be, how fast that river is going to flow on those days at those times. And there's the myriad uncertainties within there. We don't know about how the different weather events are going to compound with each other, whether we're going to get a storm followed by another storm, whether we're going to get a storm that actually wasn't that big, but its impact is made bigger because there was another small storm before it. All of these kind of compounding events. So, you know, that's uncertainties, and that's something that we do have to think about. But I think one of the most important things for businesses is it's not just about the magnitude of the hazard itself, the rainfall, the flooding, the heat wave, the fire. It's about what that does to the systems that the businesses depend on. So if that flood knocks out a power station or a substation, which then impacts the amount of electricity or whether the power supply to your business, then can you survive 2 days without power, 3 days without power? What about your suppliers if they're impacted by a hazard event? Can you survive those things? Have you got things in place to deal with them? So practical steps that organisations might take to build resilience, to think about resilience. I'd say one of the first things you want to do is think about your positioning within the system. You know, what are you dependent on? How much recovery time might it take for you if in the event of say power being knocked out by a flood? And who can you coordinate with? So, and at what different levels? So is that within at the level of a sector, whether you're talking to something that's big around, say, flood defences or some other kind of resilience measure against a hazard? Or is it more local? Is it your Chamber of Commerce? Is it your local resilience forum? One of the other things that you can do to help prepare yourself with this is to have a stress testing mindset. So you could think about all these kind of what if questions. So like I said, if your power's gone out for a couple of days, what could you do? If that supplier can't get to you because they've been impacted by a hazard, what could you do? So the longer term strategic questions that businesses should be asking in response to a changing climate is to think about climate change not necessarily as just a compliance issue, but as a structural issue. So that means thinking about where your assets are located in, say, potentially a floodplain. Think about how exposed you are to infrastructure fragility. So that might be a substation being knocked out, which then is instrumental into providing power to where you are. It's also about thinking about how insurance availability and affordability might shape your future operations. There are other questions as well, of course. I think it's also realising that it's a collective issue as well. There's a collective layer here. So no one person or even one business owns the system of which they are operating in. So it's about understanding where your power can be used collectively at different levels. So locally, local resilience forums, chambers of commerce, sector networks, your connections in with policy and politics, and even more broadly than that.